During the past out parade for KDF officers at the Defense Forces Recruit Training School in Western Gishu County, said that climate change is emerging as a security threat in the country, calling upon the forces to step up and help the country deal with the threat.
Climate change is the biggest threat to our development and to our prosperity. And as a response, I want to ask the KDF to lead the way, to provide the mechanism, and to work with the Ministry of Environment so that they can be the lead champions in the exercise of planting the 15 billion trees in the next 10 years.
Ruto pointed out the recent flooding that hit the country 1 year after Kenya witnessed a prolonged drought as some of the emerging climate-related challenges that KDF would help to address.
As you serve to secure our nation, climate change is going to be the biggest threat that faces our nation, and that is why it is absolutely necessary to mobilize our military to provide leadership in making sure we deal with the single most pressing challenge, that of climate change.
The president has further congratulated the soldiers for their contribution during the floods emergency witnessed in the country a few weeks ago.
I commend the KDF for their tireless efforts and effective disaster response in the midst of the devastating floods which have affected many parts of our country. The government is committed to relocating and resettling affected families and to significantly enhance national disaster response capabilities to be even better prepared for future emergencies.
Aside from the soldiers' role in ensuring national security, climate change has also been cited as a threat to security that needs to be addressed appropriately. Dan Kaburu, K24, Nairobi.
Child-headed households have now been recognized as a family unit. The National Policy on Family Promotion and Protection of Households describes this as a family without adult members above 18 years old. As the curtain is raised for the implementation of the policy that was adopted by the Council of Cabinet Secretaries, different groups have urged the Social Protection Ministry to revise the policy to include other forms of family units to avoid discrimination. In a bid to protect children in the country, the Foster Care Regulation 2024 has set up new guidelines for adoption by limiting the age of foster parents to 65 years and below, but not under 25 years.
Because of this dictatorship of disinformation about about what a family is, we now have situations where some family members feel rejected and discriminated against.
It will be very difficult for us to recognize any same-gender kind of a marriage, and also emphasize or try to say that they should be recognized to receive the same kind of treatment as a family unit. 5 years. So if you're older than 65, you cannot become a foster parent. Number two, if you're a single person, you also need to meet that age requirement of 25 years to 65 years. If you are, if you're a man and you want to adopt a girl, not adopt, to foster a child of a female gender, you are required, or it gives an exemption that you can only be the father of that child, female child. And then it goes ahead to say that if a child is intersex, then you are disqualified as a father to foster that female child. So those are the requirements. If you're not a Kenyan, it also provides that you need to be a resident, or you need to have been in Kenya for a period of 12 months. And there are also further requirements now that have come with the new regulation that dictate that you need to first have, if you're a non-resident, a non-Kenyan, you need to apply by presenting your application, but further to that, you need to have a referee in Kenya and in your country of origin. You also need to have a police report. You need to have a psychological test done on you to show that you have emotional capability to take care of this child.
Well, let's now have a look at some business news. CCI Global Outsourcing Firm has announced the grand opening of its Status City call center. The 5,000-acre special economic zone on Nairobi's doorstep represents a $50 million investment into the Kenyan BPO industry. The facility is Kenya's largest call center, promising to invigorate the nation's economy by creating over 5,000 new job opportunities in the short term. During the commissioning of the call center by President William Ruto, CCI announced the creation of a second building at Status City with the commitment to double Kenya's call center workforce to 10,000.
I commend CCI for establishing this ultra-modern, thoughtfully designed, and deliberately efficient contact center, which will serve global clients and benefit both Kenya, your company, and the companies you serve globally. I'm very happy to see AT&T here. I'm very happy to see JetBlue. These are companies, multinational companies, in America and in other countries.
Call center industry is growing very rapidly in Kenya. It provides jobs very quickly, and all this is happening at the heart of Tattoo City, which is the first operational special economic zone in Kenya, which provides the kind of enabling environment for international companies to come in and invest.
I expect the new building to create over 5,000 jobs in the next 2 years, and we will be announcing a creation of another building before the end of this conference. So we are very bullish in terms of our growth over the next few years, and we're very confident that we'll be at least increasing by another 10,000 people over the next 4 years.
Today's the day the future arrived. I honestly believe that, because the whole world is taking notice, not just of the building, but what is going on inside that building. Inside there is world-class performance servicing global clients. 95% of the clients in here are sophisticated US clients. They're choosing Kenyan workers and tens of thousands of Kenyan workers because they're the best. And the scalability of that and the speed of that scalability is really remarkable.
The country's transition to green energy is gaining momentum, particularly in the transport sector. Numerous digital transport companies are now striving to replace their fuel-powered vehicles with electric ones to keep pace with this shift. In March, the Ministry of Roads and Transport introduced the first electric mobility draft policy. Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen stated that this policy would guide the transition across all transportation modes, including road, rail, air, and maritime. Recently, Faras Digital Cabs announced an ambitious plan to convert 62,500 of its 250,000 vehicles to electric power within the next year. General Manager Alan Maimbu emphasized the company's commitment to the global green energy conversation.
Electric and powered vehicles to just make sure that we increase on their earnings and make their work better and their lives better. Yeah, we help our drivers acquire these vehicles. It's also part of the whole process to make sure that we are able to convert as many vehicles as possible. And we have a commitment, or we are targeting at least 25% of our vehicles.
We will work on the modalities, we will look at what can be done in the short run, what can be done in the long run, and I'm sure at the end of it all, it will benefit the whole economy. We are also keen to use our digital platforms for the Farasi drivers so that they are able to have their payments made digitally. We are also looking to empowering them. A very interesting discussion we have had today on a concept on She on Wheels. These are the lady drivers who are driving the Farasi cabs. It's a discussion that we will progress within our She proposition.
A national lobby representing agriculture industry players has called for higher budget allocations for the sector, stating that the amounts contained in the current finance bill fall far below the optimal levels set in continental agreements that Kenya is a signatory to. Through the agriculture sector network, experts pointed out that the figures released by the Treasury for the 2024-2025 financials cut the sector allocation by 18.6% to 79.8 billion from 98 billion compared to the current financial year. Speaking during a stakeholder conference, ASNET CEO Agatha Thuo explained that the estimates made significant cuts in the state departments for agriculture and livestock budgets.
Is public good and leave the private sector to be able to do what they need to do. The other area, of course, where we would want the government to invest in is creating an enabling environment for the private sector to be able to thrive in form of public investments.
This year, the last budget, it was allocated 3.6, 3.7, 3.8% of the entire budget of the nation, while you know, Maputo Declaration and then later on Malaba Declaration, there was a declaration that it should be shifted to.
The Communications Authority of Kenya has unveiled its 5th 2023-2027 strategic plan, which seeks to ensure digital access for Kenyans by enabling a sustainable digital society through responsive regulations. According to CA Director General David Mugonyi, the 5-year blueprint will enable the authority to enhance digital inclusivity by increasing broadband penetration in the country, adopting emerging technologies and improving cybersecurity. The strategy to be implemented by the authority with 88.6 billion budgetary allocation encompasses 4 strategic goals, including ICT connectivity, fostering competitive ICT markets and emerging technologies, improving organizational efficiency and consumer empowerment and protection. Elsewhere, listed agribusiness firm Kakuzi has outlined a strategic growth plan to enhance its returns on investment score and sustain its growing positioning as an integrated international business. Speaking at the firm's 96th annual general meeting, Kakuzi PLC Nicholas Nganga said the agribusiness enterprise, which has the vision to be Africa's leading superfoods producer and exporter, will maintain a heavy focus on sustainable crop and animal production to boost shareholder returns. The firm, he added, will also explore non-agricultural revenue streams which are in line with our long-term strategies.
Profit of 1.4 billion Kenya shillings, up from 0.8 billion Kenya shillings posted in the previous year.
Turning to avocados, the strategy will see our exports increase from 3 million 4-kilo equivalent cartons to 5 million over the next 10 years. This will be from a combination of young orchards coming online and completing the plantings in 2025.
At this point, but on the other side of that break, I get back with some sports news. Stick around for that.
It's time to move. It's time to bounce.